And we're back with some more oxygen not included. And today we are going to be doing, well, a lot of work to get us prepared for what comes next. And what comes next is going to the oil planet. The oil planet, Bloom Oil here, we want to turn this into a giant sour gas boiler, but that's going to require a whole bunch of resources we haven't quite acquired yet. The first and the most difficult one to acquire is going to be ceramic. Well, not say difficult, just really inconvenient to acquire. But before we even start on that, I want to fix this area over here. We keep having problems with the exhaust on this melting these steel airlocks, and when it melts those steel airlocks cause us problems. Namely, they, lets a bunch of gas down here that destroys these solar panels, causes heat damage. No, we don't want that anymore. However, we need something that blocks not too much radiation. This here allows 282 rads through, which means all of our mutated crops can still keep growing. That's the whole reason for the existence of this area over here. We want these mutated crops to keep growing, and they need at least 250 rads to do it, and we're able to use the radiation from space. We just need some way of stopping the rockets from melting everything. So I've stolen a few ideas from the comments. And this should be a nice way to make this work without blocking too many rads. Actually, we can get rid of that there. Now all we have to do is fill every single one of these storage bins with a kilo of coal. Actually, can we make that 0.5 of a kilo? I wonder. No, you can't. Just 1 kilo, it seems. Damn it, everything's starting to pop already. Quick, deconstruct those. Stop it, stop it. Yep, they're instantly... We're going to lose the igneous rock that goes in there. But hey, it's not the worst thing in the world. A little bit of lost igneous rock will be fine. You can all go as well. Damn it. Give me another minute, we're almost done. Well, the plan kind of got exposed a little bit there, but we're getting this coal. And this coal gets heated up to a certain point, and when it does, it transforms into a refined carbon tile. Well, when it hits 276.9 plus 2 centigrade, so 278.9. Once it hits that point, it turns into a refined carbon tile, and that refined carbon tile is only 1 kilo of refined carbon, which it turns out does not block an awful lot of rads. It's about the same, actually, as one of these steel doors. So a steel door lets through 282, refined carbon lets through 280. It's just the refined carbon has a much higher melting point of 4,326, as opposed to the steel's, what's the steel door melt that? 2,400. So this way we can keep this down here, and it basically acts as a perfect stopper for any of the exhaust from this. It can't get through it, it can't melt it, and it allows through enough radiation, meaning we get to run all of our farms without having to worry too much. Now, one thing I am worried about is I did have to replace those rocket platforms, but they seem to have latched back on to the rockets that run top of them, which is good. All we have to do now is inject enough heat into this section here, which I think should be possible. Actually, yeah, maybe do that. That means the exhaust heat from there should cause a whole chain reaction along that section. And if it doesn't turn them all, well, that doesn't make a difference. We can always just build more rockets. And we can extend this on. I was going to actually demolish this, but now that I'm thinking that we've got this perfect protection barrier down here and it allows our crops to grow, well, maybe a few more hydrogen rockets wouldn't hurt our expansion chances. Well, we've got all of this done, so we're going to launch that rocket. Ooh, yeah, that rocket is now heading off into space. Stop that. Come back here. Where are you going? Anyway, rocket went into orbit. Now it's going to land back down here, and its rocket exhaust should heat up this entire area, causing a massive chain reaction. Actually, the rocket exhaust heat has already spread from over there, but I'm guessing this whole thing is just about to pop the entire way along. And would you look at that? Beautiful. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Get right back in there. Don't even try passing through that exhaust, you muppet. Done. In fact, we are going to send you back into space because we don't want to leave you there, but you can't actually get refuel. We'll put you back on that slot. And then that should take care of all of our hydrogen problems, or that should take care of all of our rocket problems over here. All of that can go, and that means all our crops should be able to grow, and we never have to worry about the exhaust getting back in here again. God, I wish I had thought of this sooner, or someone had told me about it in the comments. The original suggestion was to put down temperature shift plates, and temperature shift plates made out of coal would also do the same thing. However, that would be 800 kilos of refined carbon, and that unfortunately would block so many rads it wouldn't allow our crops to grow. But having just 1 kilo of refined carbon means all of our crops down here get to grow. It's just a beautiful little trick. With that covered, our next step is to send out our scout rocket, which is now winging its way over to this location. We're going to want to explore this entire area, and once we've explored that, How is that exploring that section? Not even there. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. Over here, we're going to have to decommission one of these old rockets. We have one more than we need. So once that rocket gets back to that location, we'll have to decommission one of these older rockets. And, oh, damn it. We'll have to decommission one of these, probably one of the ones that are not built very well, one of the older generation ones. And when it comes to the petroleum here, instead of tossing it into space, I've decided to start turning it all into supercoolant. And all that supercoolant gets dumped down here into these reservoirs. We want as much supercoolant as we possibly can. We're going to need it for what we have planned in the future. And what have we got in here? We'll take the barbecue. Then, once all of that... Oh, that reminds me, down here we've got this volcano. This volcano has erupted. I can tell because there is 12.8 tons of igneous rock down here that's pretty toasty. I've stuck a tile of steel under it there to help draw the temperature out of that debris. So all that happens there is the magma rolls over the edge, gets down to here, the heat gets sucked out of it diagonally, and then since it can't spawn in here, the debris gets shunted out to the side. Little bit of an exploit, but it just makes dealing with these so much easier. Otherwise, you got to put in drills and do all this. Yeah, so much handier this way. Or you could make a magma blade, I suppose. Similar. No, not getting involved. So this should mean we're going to generate a bunch of heat down here, at least consistently, and provide us with some igneous rock for usages. Oh, there it is. Time to decommission this old rocket. The reason I'm decommissioning this one is, well, it's not really as well designed as all our previous ones. This was one of our first designs, and it didn't quite meet up to the standard we later ended up adapting, so let's just demolish this whole thing and be done with it. Kind of a pity, I feel, to be demolishing one of the rockets that did us so well, but unfortunately, we don't need it anymore. You know what, let's land our previous rocket here and hope no one gets scalded, irradiated, or one of them will, probably. Yep, here comes Arctic Fox now, right on time. Nope, just stay down there. Wait until the rocket exhaust is Wait until the rocket exhaust is passed. We'll put you down there. There you go. That should take you long enough to get down and back up that you can't get yourself scalded. And you just stay inside the ship until it's done. I need to start sorting out the rocket crews and coming up with more permanent solutions. It's getting really well, never mind. They'll sort something out themselves. In fact, it's time to get rid of a bunch of the stuff we've been leaving on the long finger, like the training of our duplicants so they actually have maxed out athletics. We're going to expand the gym substantially and make sure everyone's got their athletics maxed out. And that includes all of the characters that have been around since a very long time that haven't been getting any running on, like maybe some of our cooks. And how did you get scolded? God damn. Okay, fine. You're not allowed in there anymore. Damn it. I gotta make sure those people are not allowed in. You, get out of there. Stop it. Bold. Well, that should get most of them up to running speed in no time. Well, okay, 50 or 60 cycles. In the meantime, we need to make a new plan, and that is to make an awful lot of clay so we can make an awful lot of ceramic. So I'm thinking some sort of clay production facility here, which is going to require us to dump in a whole bunch of polluted water, but then more importantly, we're going to need a lot of filtration material. I'm thinking we're going to be making a trip back to Fiffeltel, or not the fiery planet, this one. We're going to come back here and we're going to take back thousands of tons of regolith with us. We're just going to load it into a rocket and fire it back home. Why not? First, though, while we're waiting for everyone to train up and we get a few things sorted, we're going to clean this place out and get it prepped for polluted oxygen production. Oh, several other things we need to prepare. We need lots of thermium for what we're going to be building. We don't have enough niobium for that, so we can make some more. Now, doing a rough bit of math, we should need about 1.2 tons of niobium to turn all of that tungsten into thermium. So we'll just say crank out 6 here. We just sacrificed 1.2 tons of thermium to make ourselves, well, a whole bunch of niobium, which we're then going to turn into more thermium via, well, this process. It's just the circle of life. And petroleum-wise, that's actually going pretty well. Down here, let's reduce that back to 600. All of our petroleum is coming from slicksters, and because we're not burning it for power, we just need it for supercoolant. We're actually doing pretty well on that front. And why have you stopped pumping? Oh, yeah. Probably should have extended that on a bit. There we go. That should give us more than enough supercoolant for our anticipated sour gas boiler. Now let's see about cleaning this place out. This ugly looking thing is basically going to take the polluted water we get down here. It's going to off-gas into polluted oxygen. The polluted oxygen we're going to combine with some regolith in here in the deodorizers, and that will spit out a whole bunch of clay, and the clay we can then eventually turn into ceramic so that we can use it to build our sour gas boiler. Because nothing is ever easy and oxygen not included, there's always 10 steps you have to carry out before you get to the final one. Always. Now, over here we have been, well, we've been extrapolating on all of these bristle blossoms. These are exuberant. This one's bountiful. So we can actually get rid of the bountiful one for now, because if I've double-checked things recently, we have another exuberant one. Exuberant being the best. We're basically mutating our plants until we eventually get our hands on enough of them. Down here is where all the mutation is going on. All of these are getting heavily mutated, and any seeds they drop, we examine them, and hopefully we get ourselves, well, an exuberant one. And over here we're actually storing the seeds, of which we have like a lot. There is a lot of seeds in there. There's 1,058 seeds in that one, and this one has 450 seeds. So it's not like we haven't been generating the necessary quantity of seeds. With that one planted there, that'll bring us up to, oh, close to enough. We needed about an equal amount of sleet wheat to these. Actually, we need slightly more bristle blossoms to sleet wheat to actually hit our target, which would be filling ourselves entirely on berry sludge, because berry sludge doesn't go off, and we can bring it with us on rockets and send to other planets, and fire to other planets, very importantly. But that is for later. For now, we just want to get this almost finished. As we are coming up on completion on this, something else has come to our attention. The volcano is about to erupt. We got about 20 seconds or so until this starts spitting out hot magma. That's going to roll off the edge and in here. Now, this used to be originally gold amalgam ones, but I replaced them ages ago. And there you go. You can see the igneous rock just popping out to their side. And that immediately drops down and lands on this other pile of them. How much are we up to? 15 tons, 16... That's quite nice. Temperature-wise, yeah, it's dumping a whole bunch of temperature in here, but you gotta remember, there's 500 kilos of steam pressure in here. It can eat a lot of heat, like an awful lot. And by the time it sort of dilutes as it goes up, so you'll notice it's only 115 C up here. That will probably go up a few degrees, but not a massive amount. It's just, there's so much mass to eat all the heat. And we're done. Then it'll be another 13 cycles or so before that erupts again, but that's, in 2 eruptions, we got 28 tons of igneous rock. That's actually pretty handy. Do we have any other volcanoes around here? No, we don't, do we? I suppose we can hit up some other planets later on, especially this one. I want to go back for the amount of iron. We're going to produce so much steel with this planet. Before we can head off and start ripping regolith out of other planets, what we need to do is, well, fix up our farming area. There's an awful lot of needless labor here. This stuff gets harvested, and then slowly but surely all the bristle blossoms and seeds get taken over here to our kitchen. I've already upgraded the kitchen a bit, so we've got 2 microbe mushers, namely because we now have so much sleet wheat and bristle blossoms coming in. We need 2 of them to keep processing all of them fast enough. In fact, right now we still have too much bristleberry. We've got 61,000 calories of bristleberry. If we check in here, we have, yep, 58,000 calories of bristleberries and 870 sleet wheat grains not being processed so far. That's insane. Alright, so we just want to plug this into our main grid. That shouldn't be too hard, especially considering all of the harvesting we did from space brought us back a lot of resources. We got all this cobalt ore and stuff lying around the place. I'm thinking we get all of that and bring it through here. And we're going to hook the whole thing up to this section. We're going to split off of it. We're going to get all the rot pile, and we're going to send that over here, but... actually, 1 second. So, this is a mess, but, these exuberant plants, they drop a bunch of rot pile with them whenever we harvest them. So we're going to get all of the rot pile, and we're going to filter it out right here. All of that rot pile will get sent over to our poke shells to be eaten and turned into sand. Easy peasy. Then the not rot pile stuff will get dumped down here, and it gets swept all the way across here and eventually ends up over here. This is sort of our central sorting area, which is underwater for no apparent reason, but, well, we have hatchling eggs there. So this is our evolution chamber. It sort of ended up by default being our sorting area. And then all that food will get sent over here and go to where it needs to go. Yeah, I'm going to have to do something to clean up the end. This place is just an absolute mess. I think I'm just going to destroy this entire planet, or just rip it all out and move everyone somewhere else. This planet's terrible. We've messed it up too much. Repairing it is not worth it. I think we go to, where is it, Frostona? Yep, Frostona looks like it's a big empty planet that we could do an awful lot with. And it's got a satellite over there for rads if we want it. I think this would be a nice planet to actually just start up and make a proper colony on, just starting from scratch, you know, delete everything, begin afresh. This place we can turn into a farm or something and rip out most of the junk. Well, except for the industrial brick, because that's hooked up to a volcano, and the farms. Yeah, the farms and the industrial brick, everything else can pretty much go. That took a little bit of effort, but now all of our polluted dirt from down here is going to get shunted up to this section, along with any rot pile we get from over here. That takes care of an awful lot of manual labour. I think we're also going to automate the delivery of sand in here, but that can wait a minute. First, we want to automate the removal of food. So over here, all of the sleet wheat's going to get picked up and sent along. Oh god, that's going to take a minute or two. Well, once that's done, we're also going to need some way to harvest all the stuff in here too. By harvest, I mean collect all the food and rot and stuff off the ground. There is so much food just lying around the place. One thing I do like, though, is we're actually going against this now, but all of the sleetweed in here, it's completely fresh. It's actually frozen and in a sterile atmosphere. Turns out you don't need to cool down sleetweed grains to get them to the frozen stage. For example, this stuff is only cooled down to, God, not even that cold. What is it? Yep, 2 degrees, 1.9. Normally you need to go to about minus 16 or minus 18, but you don't seem to need to do that with sleetweed. Now, for example, let's grab some bristleberry over here. Actually, that's a bad idea. It's not even at 2%. That's okay. We've got some in the fridge back home. Never mind. All we've got is the Pacu fillet. But this Pacu fillet, you'll notice, is refrigerated, but it's giving it minus 5. But that's even though it's down to 1.2. Turns out all the other foods, unlike sleetweed, don't do that. I assume nosh beans are probably the same, though I'm not willing to care enough. Nosh beans are just so useless that no one cares. Anyway, let's see. We still need to finish off that, and a few other bits and bobs, but we're almost ready to start automated food transport. I think we're ready to begin. The first thing we're going to want to do is go into organic and grab rot pile. That's going to be the same for both of them. And if we've done that right, yep, all the rot pile lying about the place is going to get picked up and dumped in. Right, when I say all, there wasn't really that much. I was expecting there to be a little bit more, but that's fine. What the hell just happened? You converted to polluted dirt. Well, okay then. Not all of it did. Yeah, rot pile converts to polluted dirt if you leave it long enough. I think some of that had been left there a little bit too long. But that's okay. That's fine. Actually, it's not too fine. That's going to cause atmospheric problems. We're going to sweep that up. Someone want to get around to that? Wait, that's an attack function. Done. Alright, over here. That rot pile is going to head over here and get fed to our poke shells. Our poke shells are going to consume either the rot pile or the polluted dirt or whatever the hell it is. And they're going to poop out sand, which will get sent over here. We're still actually extracting all the sand that's been there for a long time. We're doing that auto sweeper there. It throws the sand into the conveyor loader, and now we've got 10 tons of sand produced by all of those poke shells. Perfect. And that actually worked out quite well. Now, one thing we do need to get rid of is all this polluted dirt. Another way to do that... let's just get rid of the sweep only command for a minute. This will send our dupes to go around and grab everything manually, but once we clear this out once, we shouldn't have any more polluted dirt appearing in here. That polluted dirt is only there because we left the rot pile there for so long. Well, that's all that done. We've got rid of all of the polluted dirt. We're just down to the actual raw ingredients. So if we go under edible here, we should be able to get the bristleberry. Come on, not gristle. There we go, bristleberry. And that should all start getting harvested. Perfect. And over here, we're going to want to get the sleetweed in there as well, which is under cooking ingredients. There we go on that front. Now, all of those should come down here. Oh, that's... Yeah, please tell me that's rot pile. Okay, all the rest of it comes down here, passes through a whole bunch of random stuff. Yeah, this could take a minute. Dear Lord. Yeah, this whole place is a mess. It really should be going directly across, but it passes by the fish farm where we get so much fish, which is also really good for our food. And then it ends up getting dropped off down here, which is sort of a sorting area where eggshells get sent one way, foods get sent another, and next thing you know, yeah, bristleberry's on its way, wheat grain also on its way, and it all gets dumped right over here where it can get turned into food. Perfection! I think that automates the last of this. There's a little bit of, dirt and a few bits and bobs left in there, but a quick sweep there and there. Oh, and over here we have got... No, cancel that. One more exuberant. And down here we're going to put in... Well, we don't have enough exuberant, so we'll go with some bountiful ones. They double the amount of yield you get, so they're not terrible. This takes care of crops until we get 3 more exuberant seeds to replace the last of them, and that makes that finished, I think. That should cut down an awful lot on the labour. To also help out in the labour regards, over here we've got a bunch of sand thrown into level 4 containers. Then what we're going to do is go over here and make sure this can suck it all up, and then dump it down right in here. So this should mean these are all ready to get serviced automatically by the sand that gets dropped off here, which can then fill up this storage container just in case, and then we can lock the door so no one needs to go in there anymore. None of our duplicants should get called over to clean out the water sieve or pick up the polluted dirt it drops. That should all be automatically taken care of and free up a bunch of labour. It's... Oh, gate. 1 second. Oh yeah, copper ore or... Please welcome Rathveer to the team. Rathveer? Okay, I'm going to go with Rathveer because I'm Irish. Supplying, building, suit wearing, Starts with Masterwork Tier 3, has Green Thumb and Grassophobia, so they can't do cooking. Yep, that seems like a perfect duplicate. We just gotta stick him into a gym. There we go. Rathvir fitting right in. Now, one other thing I want to do is actually get rid of that. This is uranium ore door. So what we want to do is also get rid of those two. We want to move our little radioactive door a little bit over. And we want to change how our food is handled. The reason being is, well, we have a lot of berry sludge. There's like 400 kilos of this stuff right there. It's time we started putting that stuff to better use. Or, well, feeding it to everyone at this point. We've got 2 million calories of this stuff. You see, if we're going to have people eating the berry sludge, we need to decontaminate it first. It always has germs on it because of the way the sleep wheat's made and because of the cooking process. So we need, where is it? This set to berry sludge. We're also going to make it a priority 5. And at the same time, I think what we can do is this allows manual use. It's set to priority 4, and we're also going to put all of our berry sludge in there. Like the lot of it. That's a lot of berry sludge. But the moment it gets in here, germ-wise, yeah, pretty much the germs instantly evaporate. In fact, any germs on any of these foods should now just evaporate the moment they end up there. And all of the stuff that's intermediately stored in here should be fine, as in it'll freeze. And yeah, there's gristleberry in there. Everything that's in there... Ah, there we go, berry sludge. Germs. 1,830, and they should slowly die off once the temperature drops. Oh, it's 12.4 degrees. It's fine. Once it drops below, I think it's 5 or 10 degrees, the germs should die off a lot faster. And down here we can deconstruct these ones. That's going to result in all of it getting shunted in there. I mean, we've got 2.4 million calories of berry sludge. I think everyone can start reaping the benefits of it. Oh, I should probably point out the reason we stuck in this uranium ore door is it gives off radiation, and that radiation will kill the germs and anything surrounding it, including the foods. So if any of these foods show up with germs on them, they'll just get killed by the rads. It takes like a, well, maybe not instantly, but it's pretty close. So it should keep anyone from getting food poisoning. Everyone's hard at work. You know what? We might want to set up a little bit of frost buns here. Reason being is we have too many sleep wheat seeds. We're up to 822 kilos of this stuff. And we just literally can't churn out the bars fast enough. If you check under here, we've got bristleberry. Yeah, we've got 2,500 calories of bristleberry. We're not producing enough bristleberry to keep up with the amount of sleep wheat we're getting now. That exuberant stuff with a little bit of a farming station. Oh yeah, that's just incredibly potent. Over here, we're trying to load up our crew. In fact, we can load up now. We're going to send 3 people over to Fiflatel, but in 2 separate ships. One with a Trailblazer module, one without. I'll explain why on that bit later. Unfortunately, they're all coming in their rad suits. Well, actually, probably, fortunately, that's a good idea. Now, allow me to just configure these guys. That's both teams launching. They should arrive shortly. Well, it's rad rockets. They'll arrive in a reasonable time frame. I would have sent the bigger rockets. It's just this planet doesn't support them. Oh, wow. Yeah, that rocket landing pad is... We're going to expand that a little bit for some more protection, but namely what we want to do here is get as much regolith as possible. We're going to need all that regolith combined with some polluted water. In fact, we're looking on the polluted water front. You know what? Let's sweep up some more. We have several tons of this stuff down here. Like there's 30 tons of polluted water there. We should probably deploy that so that we can start extracting it into these liquid reservoirs. Oh, and one other thing we should take care of. We should start sending this igneous rock on it a little bit of a journey. We want to start draining the heat out of it, and I think we can send it up to the top of the map. Let me think for a minute. And I think we're ready to get started. All we want to do here is grab all of this rock and drain as much heat out of it as we possibly can. Let's just set that to igneous rock. And that's a thermium aquatuner, or a thermium autosweeper. Sweeps it into the conveyor loader, and the conveyor loader spits it out, and then it gets metered by this into 1.2 kilo increments. And what's it at? It's coming out at, 5,700, and then, wow, it rapidly plummets in temperature. Right, that seems to be working incredibly well. What's the temperature down here, like 123? That'll slowly crank it up, but that just means that all of that rock is now down to 120 degrees, which means it's actually usable. We could take it out of here and actually use it outside of the steam room, which is good. 1,000 degrees is just a little bit hot to work with in most instances. It's just when you leave it in a place, it tends to overheat it. This is going to wind its way all the way up to the top, and then it's going to sit on this thermium metal plate up there, and that thermium metal plate will help soak the last of the heat out of it, but I think that's good. Now, the reason we set it to 1.2 kilos, I basically got out a calculator and figured out how much this would drop out per second, and it works out at about 1.19 kilos per second. So I figure we can slowly take all of that and add it to our list. Done. While it is enjoyable to watch all these rocks get drained of heat and add to our power, over here, something wonderful has happened. You see, normally what would happen is when I put one of these bridges on because I want to splice something onto this line, I would have to deconstruct that pipe in the middle, the water would spill everywhere, and it would be a painful process. However, we have installed the pliers mod, and now we can just go, hallelujah, hallelujah, problem solved. Then we can just deconstruct the pipe when we're finished. Easy peasy. That just makes life so much less painful. Oh, okay, I know that's also a little bit broken and incredibly handy, but it just, it wasn't a case that I couldn't do that earlier. It just would require a bunch more steps and mopping and a whole bunch of mess that was... that just makes life so much more convenient. The whole reason for splicing that pipe on is so that we can get rid of this big pool of water over here. We should have gotten rid of this ages ago, but we never did, namely because it was just too inconvenient and time-consuming. But we've got to start cleaning up the messes that we left behind from all the achievement hunting. Now, out on the star map, yes, we have arrived at whatever. Maybe we should open the door before we land. It looks like we have to open the door before we land because there's no other way. I wonder if we can smash straight through the regolith on landing, though. That would be nice. It's going to take about... I don't know, an eternity and a half for those doors to open. But yeah, the people in orbit can wait. It'll only be a few minutes. I think landing on this planet might be a little bit trickier than I thought. Reason being, there's no real flat spaces to land a Trailblazer module. And I don't think this rocket cell is going to be landable on, is it? No. No, landing path is obstructed. So if we close the doors, we should be able to land a Trailblazer module on top of it, because it's a flat surface, and then we can dig our way out of here? Probably? We'll just have to give someone a spacesuit so they don't suffocate, but I think it should be possible. This here is why we left these doors behind. I knew the bunker just wouldn't protect the silo, but they'd at least give us somewhere to land this thing on. You can't land... You need 4 tiles of space, or is it 3 tiles of space to land this on? And considering the amount of regolith that's accumulating up, you can never really find 3 tiles. Ooh, there you go. Though that would be an awkward place to land. So we can land right about here. Done. And then what we'll do is we'll deconstruct the doors and dig down here and dig the place out. Hubert's got a full suit full of oxygen, so they should be able to last 2/3 of a cycle, which should be plenty of time to do this. Though, actually, what's their construction skill? I really shouldn't be considering that right now, should I? You know what? They'll probably be fine. We just need to take out the 2 bunker doors and then core out this regolith down here. Can't be that hard. The way I figured, if we deconstruct that door and then we deconstruct that door, we should fall right down here. And then we can just core out the place from below. We'll just dig down to about the top of the rocket silo, and then that should allow us to core out the rest of the area fairly quickly. And yeah, they don't seem to like the falling. The falling they don't like, but they'll be grand. They can just do a little bit more falling. Come on, a little bit more. I think is that the bottom of the rocket silo? Yes, it is. All right, then we're going to want you to core out that direction, and we're going to want you to core out that direction. That will reveal 5 tides each side, and then we'll see if the rocket can land that. If it can't, we'll just expand it out a little bit more. Still can't land a rocket. Okay, we'll expand it out a little bit more, and then if that doesn't work, actually, we'll make those 6s. If that doesn't work, we'll have to dig out the rocket silo a little bit more. Maybe because it's entombed, we can't land here. I've never really experimented around with this much entombed rocket silos. Seriously, how much of this do we have to dig up? Hubert's going to run out of oxygen at some point. Come on. Seriously, that better be the last tile. Okay, now we can land someone there. All right then. Let's start digging out this section. Actually, wait. Let's start digging up here. I think you're going to repair something at the moment. Don't. I want you to dig out because we want you out of the rocket exhaust if at all possible so you don't get horribly scalded. What's your oxygen levels at? They seem fine. Let's get ready to land the rocket. Okay, Mars XC, come on down. We're going to have Hubert hide over here for just a minute, and we're going to make sure there's at least some commands over here for them to do so that they don't hang around inside the rocket exhaust. I mean, a little bit inside the rocket exhaust, but nearly as bad as it should be. And excellent. Change the crew. I want everyone in here, and I want you all to crew up. Come on, everybody in. Ooh, wow, Hubert was actually running low on O2 there. Unequip that lead suit if you wouldn't mind. Now we just got to put in an atmosuit exit checkpoint and we should be good to start collecting regolith. The plan here is, well, incredibly simple. We're going to go up here and we're going to cover this entire top of this map in bunker doors so that we can stop the meteors from smashing into us while we're doing our harvesting. In fact, later on, once we've got our sour gas boiler up and running, I think we'll colonize this planet and we could turn this place into a regolith harvesting facility. Nope, that's far into the future. For now, we just came here to get as much regolith as we could possibly get our paws on to make as much ceramic as we're going to need for that sour gas boiler. Well, it started raining again. I was trying to open this up so we could land the other rocket, which we will land in a bit, but, you know, no power means these doors open very, very slowly. Guys, you might want to get another bunker door over there. Come on. There we go. We already have 290 tons of regolith. I'm going to want at least 1,000 tons before we leave. Yeah, 1,000 tons of regolith should cut it. Well, everyone is in grabbing a snack and there's no reason to come outside. We can land the other rocket. This is the one that was actually empty. Turns out you can autopilot those suckers, which is actually kind of nice. Where are they? Ah, yes, they're landing. Perfect. And where did all that radioactive waste come from? Never mind. So now we have 2 rockets. This is going to be our storage rocket. It's going to store all the regolith that we bring home. It'll make more sense once I finished harvesting. Right now, we're just putting down the bunker doors and we're putting those mafic tiles below them to cut down on the rads coming through, because otherwise, if we just have bunker doors, it's 186 rads everyone's getting exposed to. That kind of hurts, like a lot. So instead, we're putting up these mafic rock tiles so when they're busy down here harvesting, they won't get exposed to nearly as much radiation. Well, that's the theory. So we've managed to seal in the top here. That has drastically cut down on the rads. Well, okay, except under where the rockets are, but everywhere over here is pretty good. 89 rads, we can easily deal with that just with the meds we've brought with us. Now we just need to get our hands on enough regolith. We're up to 470 tons of the stuff, but I think we can double that quite easily. You know, while we're here, we do actually have a neural vacillator, and Mellington could use with some stress relief. Maybe they'll get some bonuses. I should really start actually using all of these. We've got a whole bunch of vacillator charges back home. What do we got? Complete the neural process, and strength. You know what? That will work out perfectly. They can carry more stuff. We're going to be doing an awful lot of carrying in the very near future once we get all of this regolith collected up. Almost 800 tons of regolith, but we're going to start stockpiling it up here, and then we're going to get out of here. It was way too long collecting all this regolith, but we did manage to core out a nice chunk of the planet. I'm thinking we're going to come back here, solar panels, a few battery boxes. We can turn this place into a whole automated regolith farming place. Though, yeah, that's going to be a wee bit in the future. This sweeping is taking a little bit of time, but we're popping back home occasionally and topping things off, as in, like, these water tanks do fill up a bit too much, and when we do, we deconstruct them and reconstruct them. All our vents and geysers are pretty much active right now, and we're ending up with a little bit of excess polluted water, which is good. We're going to need that if we want to make as much ceramic as we need. At the same time, we are slowly draining this pool of water, and that's helping us reinforce the amount of polluted water we harvest, so I'm going to say we're well on our way to getting ceramic production well and truly sorted. While all of this was going on, our scout rocket has actually gone back home, refueled, and come back out again. We found more radioactive asteroid fields, a gilded asteroid field, which was far too far away from us to be of any use to us until now. But it doesn't matter, we've got all the superglue we need anyway. And there seems to be Russell's teapot over here. We'll have to go around and harvest that. In fact, we do have a couple artifact modules on there. We might go harvest that ourselves. Though first we're going to get a little bit closer and find out what those last objects are. We're starting to knock out all of the little side quests. After much sweeping, we have 804 tons of regolith here. Now what we're going to do is... Wait, no, in here. We're going to sweep it into this rocket. Now I know what you're thinking. That's really, really hot stuff. You're going to melt that rocket. Yeah, we are. Not really much we can do about that, so we're just going to have no one pilot at home. We have almost loaded up all this regolith, though I've just realized we're going to have to start opening the doors now. Yeah, the door opening procedure takes quite a substantial amount of time. Then we're going to have to somehow to get that regolith. I think we'll... Actually, we can deconstruct those tiles down there. Actually, I will wait until the last of the regolith goes in. That's 38 tons left. How much have we got inside? Let's have a quick look inside and see how toasty it is in here. We have... 771 tons of regolith, and the temperature in there is, a balmy 105 degrees just around the bedroom. Yep, that seems like a wonderful little rocket capsule there. Then we just get rid of that little bottom layer, and now we just have to wait until the doors finish opening. This might take a few minutes. Come on. Seriously? How are you not open already? All right, we'll let that drop, and then we'll dig it out, and then we'll launch the rockets. I want to make sure that when we come back here the next time, we don't have to go through that horrible song and dance of bouncing around the place trying to dig out the landing spots. Well, there we go. Perfect. Now we'll just dig that out real quick. Why not? A little bit of regolith here and there never hurt us. There we go. Now all we have to do is select a sacrificial lamb to pilot this up and hope that it works. We're going to grab one pilot. Hubert here is on board. They have got their atmosuit on so they don't immediately get incinerated by standing inside this rather toasty rocket. They've got 830 tons of regolith lying about the place, also a bunch of steel and random stuff. But how much steel is there? You know what? Who cares? All we need to do now is change the destination into orbit. Perfect. Then we just launch the rocket. Then what should happen is we can launch this into orbit and then drop our astronaut back down onto the planet. Oh, wow, we irradiated that place. That's fine, it was already irradiated to begin with. Alright, so we go back up here. Then they're still in an atmosuit. We select them and we deploy them down to the planet. Can they land here? No. No, how about... No, here. God damn it. I figured it out. We can land them up here. Actually, they can land right there. That's ridiculous. All right, they should pop down out of the sky anytime now. Perfect. Deconstruct building. You gonna deconstruct that? Anyone? No. Well, okay, someone will get around to deconstructing that in a second. We don't want to leave that hanging around while we're gone. This rocket that's in space, though, the one that's super hot and that we couldn't fly ourselves, now it can fly back home. It will be incredibly slow, though. Range remaining 9 tiles. 2.7 tiles per cycle? That's actually pretty quick. Maybe I'm missing something. Alright, I was advised that it would be really slow to do it this way. Then all we have to do is go back in here and, oh, they're charging up. We'll let them charge up the battery just a little bit more. I don't like risking it. Well, wait until we get at least 50 kilojoules before I hop them off that. Then we can launch this rocket, close the doors behind us, and then we should be ready to come back here anytime we want for even more harvesting. There we go. On their way safely back home. And we managed to harvest just an absolutely ridiculous amount of regolith. That should be able to turn us into, what, 800 tons of ceramic? True, we'll need to source about 800 tons of polluted water, but that's not a big deal. Alright, you guys, close the door behind you. Were you born in a barn? So when there's no one on the rocket, it says autopilot engaged. And checking on the overlay here, it looks like it's going to be a little bit slow. As in, this is going to take 5.2 cycles. Our piloted one is going to take 3.4. So it basically moves at minimum speed, but you don't have to have a duplicate on board. We can use this to actually seed relay points for our automation stations later on, after we get our sour gas boiler online. While we are waiting for that rocket full of regolith to come back, we do have 6 tons of it lying around here, and I thought we would demonstrate how this little beauty is going to work. We're going to have the regolith stored here or dropped down by the automatic dispensers, which reminds me we should probably clean up some of the mess there. That can all go. And then what will happen is, when we open these doors, I'll check the gas overlay here. You can see there's a whole bunch of polluted oxygen in there, but once the doors open, we're able to start dumping in regolith. And the regolith, oof, damn it. We're losing a little bit of polluted oxygen to the background of space now, but it's fine. This thing starts filling up all of the deodorizers. The deodorizers start cleaning everything, and we can go to filtration. This one here is actually filtration medium here. Make that regolith 2, and that will fill that one up. So now the bottom layer one can get access to it. And now we have lots of oxygen being produced. I think that's about enough for now. And we'll just close the doors and let the regolith catch up before we fully activate the system. After giving it a little time, this is how it's stabilized out. Now we'll open the doors. The oxygen starts to escape in the background of space, and that means more oxygen can off-gas. And it's all coming from these bottles of polluted water down here. We can force these to off-gas more later on, but for now I think we'll just leave it as it is. But they'll start slowly off-gassing polluted oxygen. The polluted oxygen gets sucked up by the deodorizers. They spit out the clean oxygen. The clean oxygen escapes out to the vacuum of space. And then the clay, well, the clay we're going to dump over here. These two will pick up all the clay that pops out. And that clay will get, eventually, come on, there we go. The clay will get sent down here and dropped right outside our industrial sauna so that it can be, used for making ceramics. And there's also, maybe I should run in it. I'm almost tempted to run a conveyor rail all the way in here, but that's just way too long. So that should be that. We still got a ton of regolith left, but we got 800 more incoming. Once we get those 800 tons in, we can just let this run for eternity. Ooh, ooh. I just heard that rocket come back. Excellent. Now, we can cancel the auto-delivery there. We don't need that being replaced. And if we check on the inside, how hot is it in here? Oh, it's pretty toasty. It's reasonably warm, but we have a very quick solution towards dealing with that. What we'll do is we'll swap it out for a solar panel. There we go. And then we'll just cancel the build of the solar panel. Done. Now we can sweep that all off. What I've done is I've swept all of the... I've changed this actually so we've got automatic dispensers over here. And I think what we're going to do is just sweep all the regolith into this section. Why not? We've got them right there. It should be a fairly easy thing to do. In fact... No. We're just going to let them do that tiny little bit of a walk. They can make it from there to there and move the 800 tons of the stuff. Once we've dumped that all in there, we might just crank up production by putting in a quick layer of water. Give me a minute. Well, the system's up and running. We have a lot of regolith. How much regolith have we actually got lying around the place? 833 tons. That should make a lot of clay to make the ceramics, but we can speed up the production a little bit. For example, we've already got about 9 tons since we started operating this, but that's not really as high speed as we could make it. So instead, we're going to dump a little bit of water in here, if Zap ever shows up. Zap? Now you see, these things here emit oxygen, or polluted oxygen, up until the point they overpressurize, which is about 1.8 kilos. Which they do rather rapidly because there's so much of them. However, we do this and we put down a little bit of water. How much is there? Yeah, that's, you know what? That should be plenty. Now that water sort of covers the bottom of that and then forces it to off-gas more. There we go. Oh, that might be too much. You know what? Let's close the doors for a second. If we close the doors... Yeah, the pressure in there... Oh my god. 70 kilos. Well, that was pretty quick. 80 kilos. Yeah, You know what? We'll just leave it like that. Why not? We've put in a little bead liquid lock here made of naphtha, but that means we should be producing at maximum capacity. How much does this produce? 143.33 grams per second. That means, yes, we will now have lots and lots of clay to make lots and lots of ceramic. I should point out there's lots of other methods you can use to ramp up production or do crazy things. Like you can have a layer of water below these to stop them from picking things up, and you have a layer of water below these, and then below that you have airflow tiles so that they only ever pass polluted oxygen through once it's been cleaned. So you can keep an infinite amount of polluted oxygen below them, and they'll only activate, or the clean oxygen will only pass through. But I don't know, there's a whole bunch of other exploitative stuff. This feels even too exploitative for me, but dear Lord, you cannot argue with the results. The amount of clay this is going to turn out for us is amazing. So that's all we have time for today. Mass clay production and a little bit of volcanic taming. This is actually working out really well. That is a lot of igneous rock all cooled down to actually usable levels. And it's driven up the temperature in here to like 140 degrees. And you gotta remember, that's 500 kilos of steam per tile, which means there's just so much potential energy locked away in there. Ooh, and one last thing. This is what we're saving all the ceramic for. I made a few changes on the side to this to make it more efficient, and it works quite well. Actually, this entire thing produces only 9.5 kilos of methane per second. About 0.5 of a kilo was lost in this transition process. I'm not exactly sure how, but, well, it doesn't make a difference. The whole thing, though, runs on 3 hydrogen generators, as in 3 hydrogen generators can keep this whole thing powered once it's spun up, which is actually pretty cheap to run. But the main thing is the ceramics. I think we can get away with a lot of igneous tiles up here. It's mostly ceramic is all we'll need is down this section. Everywhere else we can get away with probably igneous rock or, lighter materials. So hopefully we should only need a few hundred tons of ceramic to get this built. Anyway, I'm going to cut this out here. I hope you enjoyed and good luck.